Asia in ancient times. Our timeline begins with 100,000 BCE when Peking Man lives in China. The Jomon hunters arrive in Japan, but only many years later in 14,500 BCE. The Aryans arrive in India around 1800 BCE, and by 1400 BCE, the oracle bones serve as the first Chinese writing. In 563 BCE, Buddha is born in India. Siddhartha Gautama. From 268 to 232 BCE, Asoka rules India. And from 247 to 221 BCE, Qin Shi Huang becomes the first emperor of unified China. From 40 to 43 CE, Trung Trac and Trung Ni fight the Chinese domination of Vietnam. From 595 to 647 CE, Queen Seondeok rules Silla in Korea. In 604 CE, Prince Shotoku writes the 17th Article Constitution in Japan. Our terminology starts with the mandate of heaven, the favor of the gods that conferred a right to rule but could be lost by those less worthy. The clan is a small group of several families that shared an encampment and herded or hunted together and formed the basic social unit of the semi-nomadic people of Eurasia. Confucianism is a Chinese school of philosophical thought shaping morality, governance, education, and family life. Taoism is a Chinese religion that emphasized veneration of nature, the cosmos, and mysticism. Inner Asian Steppe is the eastern half of the Eurasian steppe that stretched into Mongolia and runs along the northern border of China. Karma is a Hindu concept emphasizing the influence of good deeds and moral behavior on a person's status in life and rebirth after death. Khan is a title claimed by warrior kings to unite various tribes into powerful confederations and empires. Legalism is a school of philosophical thought that helped dynasties such as Qin use uniform laws and codes to reform and strengthen rulers. Peking Man, a subspecies of Homo erectus, identified by fossil remains found in northern China. The Ring of Fire is the boundary line of a zone of intense seismic activity in the Pacific Ocean. Samsara is a Hindu concept explaining the continuance of the soul after death and its transformation. The Silk Roads is a series of trade routes circulating luxury goods to and from China and parts of Central Asia, India, and the Middle East. The Terracotta Army is a collection of life-size clay statues of soldiers, officials, servants, as well as horses of the Qin Emperor, and buried in his tomb near Xi'an. The Three Han is the three groups, the Mahan, Jinhan, and Baiyuhan in southern Korea that were among the earliest with tribal chieftains. Ancient Asia was dominated by two civilizational poles, one centered in today's India and the other to the east across the Asian landmass in China. Within both of these zones developed impressive cities, kingdoms, and even empires whose commercial might, religion, and technology shaped the very lives of Asians for thousands of years. Other Asians, traveling peoples of the steppes, acted as conduits of trade and exchange as they brought goods and ideas from one end of the continent to the other end of the continent. The same was true far to the east and to the south. There, groups that became the Koreans and the Japanese, the two small dragons, as well as others who arrived in Southeast Asia via the migration and trade, also carved out civilizations themselves, smaller societies, however, that influenced their larger neighbors in China, the main dragon, and India. At this time, Asia was a region woven together by networks of traveling monks, nomadic peoples, oceanic and overland trade, and shared writing systems. Now, to move on to our summations of ancient China, the steppes, Korea, Japan, and Southeast Asia. Concerning ancient China, early China was home to diverse migrant groups whose cultural contributions helped shape centralized political control. These groups developed key elements of shared culture, including a written script and major philosophical traditions like Confucianism, Taoism, and legalism. The first Chinese dynasties, the Shang, Zhou, and Qin, laid the foundation for an imperial system that harnessed agrarian resources and influenced future dynasties. Around 1500 BCE, climate change forced many groups in the eastern Eurasian steppe to adopt a nomadic lifestyle, herding livestock and engaging in both trade and raids with settled societies like China and Korea. So we're talking about the steppes. The Xiongnu, for example, formed a powerful confederation that clashed with the Han dynasty of China over the control of the Silk Roads. Initially appeased by the Han, the Xiongnu were later defeated in military campaigns. After internal divisions, the southern Xiongnu became Han vassals, while the northern Xiongnu continued resisting. Following the Han dynasty's collapse, Xiongnu and Xianbei tribes established states in northern China, with the Xianbei's Tuba clan founding the Northern Wei dynasty in 439 CE. As they assimilated into Chinese culture, internal dissent led to their downfall in 524 CE. Later, however, the Khitan rose to power, founding the Liao dynasty in the year 907 CE. Concerning Korea, Japan and Southeast Asia, by the end of the ancient era, Japan, Korea, and Southeast Asia had developed distinct cultures and royal courts influenced by trade, written languages, and cultural exchange with larger neighbors like China and India. Their strong seafaring traditions enabled connections beyond the region, and these societies produced remarkable achievements in monumental architecture such as Korea's Siakwam Grotto and Indonesia's Borobudur. However, geographic challenges such as natural disasters, porous borders, and complex trade networks often hindered cultural unity and political stability, making governance difficult without modern administrative systems. A sophisticated civilization emerged in the Indus River Valley with cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, which were abandoned around the year 700 BCE, 1700 BCE, probably due to environmental decline. The Aryans later arrived, introducing a caste-based social structure, and the Vedic religion, which then evolved into Hinduism later on. In the 6th century BCE, Siddhartha Gautama founded Buddhism as an alternative path to escape suffering. Buddhism spread beyond India, especially after Asoka of the Mauryan dynasty embraced it in the 3rd century BCE. Following the Mauryan Empire's fall, the Gupta dynasty led a cultural and artistic golden age during the Gupta Empire, but their rule ended with the Hun invasions, leading to northern India's fragmentation into smaller kingdoms. And so there you have it. There's Asia in ancient times. That is ancient China, the steppes, Korea, Japan, and the southeast of Asia. Ending with the Mauryan Empire and the Gupta Empire of India.